All right, looks like we are live, and things seem to be working this far. Just noticed I got some dust on my shirt. That's always nice. All right, so today we're gonna look at doing some kind of optimizing. I guess not optimizing, but just doing an overview, an overall overview of all of the different ways that you can kind of maximize your speed and efficiency with this program. So the idea is to kind of just show you, there's a ton of features in this, but there's really just a few different features that you kind of want to know to be able to speed things up, and some of them are pretty obvious, and then there are a couple others that you kind of can play around with to see what they do to make things run a little bit faster and stuff. So first off, I'm going to create a new project here. We'll call it Friday stream do 01/05/2024. First stream of the new year. Alright, I'll load that project. And all right, so we'll look at a couple things first here. So I'll just go over the kind of buttons here to kind of explain what each thing does, and then we'll go into detail on and show you basically how each thing works here. So you can see there's just a few buttons at the top here. These buttons at the top left here are fairly self-explanatory. They really only do like one thing. So this is to create your renderings, go full screen, to create projects. You have a whole system here where you can create folders and new projects and things. So if you ever wanted to build templates, so this is one thing to maximize kind of your efficiency, is if you ever wanted to build a template, you can basically, let's say you create a new folder called templates. You could create your, let's call it template 1 project, template large room, 3 screens or something, and then save that. And then if you ever want to create a new project off of that, you just kind of save as from that project. So it works like a lot of other programs where you can just save as. So for me, I kind of, with this account, I have videos that I create. I typically create a new video every Wednesday, Friday streams, some example projects. And so I just have these 3 folders, and then in the root folder I have the starter project. All right, and then everything lives in the cloud again, so this is kind of another tip for sort of maximizing efficiency, is that all of your projects and everything basically lives in the cloud, which means that when you access the application, you just do it from a web browser, and so you could actually go to use any computer really to open the application and get access to your projects, which is super nice, so that you don't have to be worrying about having all your stuff on one computer or one hard drive. It's just always available to you. So kind of going forward, just got an undo button, a quick shortcuts menu here to just show you that stuff. There's some quick options to change streaming quality, which will allow you to have a better resolution on your screen. You can change your units here if you're using Imperial or metric, and then you can change this focus feature off and on too. So sorry, I won't go through every single thing here, but I'll just give you a brief overview so you kind of get the idea. So camera views, typical sort of camera views that you'd see in a lot of 3D programs. You get your top, left, right, front views, and then you have an orbit view where you can spin around like this, and then a first-person view where you can kind of move in as if you were inside the room walking around. And then you can save your cameras here and create a quick animation here. So that's kind of standard stuff. One thing here, the selection button will allow you to kind of move a little bit faster, which with the select all button down here, it allows you to select all of a certain type of object. So if I were to have, let's say, a bunch of objects in here, like some drape, and then I went over to here, and let's say I wanted to select all the drape, I could just go to drapery, and that would easily select it all for me. So if you have a lot of stuff in your scene, and maybe there's like, you know, a bunch of uplights in the space, and they're behind a stage or something, and you just want to select them really quick, you can just use that. So boom, you're good to go right there. So that's super nice to have. Let's delete this stuff real quick. And then the group lock button is for grouping and ungrouping stuff, or unlocking groups so that you can select things quickly and easily. And the multi-select tool allows you to select multiple things with this marquee tool here. Some super simple features just for creating measurements. You can just drag your mouse and create some measurements like this, and then labels as well. Let's go ahead and delete those. And then these visual features we'll kind of go over later, but those are kind of some like final touch type things that you. All right. So getting back to this, where was I at? Visuals. I meant to hit save. There we go. All right, so down here, some super quick things that we did to make this program run a lot faster, and just have sort of quick and easy access to things. One is this images feature. So this is kind of similar to programs like Canva or other online programs where you can just have quick and easy access to a bunch of images that you upload or assets. So the way it works is that you just upload images, it goes directly into the servers, and then these images will always be here whenever you log in. And you can use these images for all sorts of things. So you can use them to add to lights, so for like gobos and different patterns and things. You can use them for screens, printed backdrops, a lot of different things. So you can use images to help with a lot of stuff. You can also upload floor plans, which I'll show you as well in a little bit here. And you can add them to the room, which will allow you to see different details of a floor plan if you need to do that. And then coming pretty soon here, we have an upload 3D files button, which will allow you to have all of your 3D files as well, your custom 3D files or files that you've imported, and being able to use those in any projects. All right, so that's kind of the images feature there, which is pretty simple, but very fast and easy to use. We'll go over the templates, the build. So the templates and the build features here are also going to be super quick, but they do kind of two sort of different things, and there's different reasons to use each one. And then adding objects, this is just kind of the objects library. So this is going to be a little bit more slower, but maybe you add objects individually once your project is closer to being done. All right, so templates, we'll go over this first. So we have probably like 30 to 40 templates in here. And the idea with the templates is kind of to get some ideas started. So you can easily drag and drop out a template here and start to play with it if you wanted to. You know, if you wanted to maybe just use a couple things from the template, you can do that. You can start removing things, but every object is, you know, able to be adjusted. So if you don't want to use that one, you can kind of just replace them by dragging in new ones and looking at them and seeing what they look like. So the idea of this is to speed up the process of creating a design and rendering, but more or less to also kind of get the ideas flowing. So if you're working with a client or decision maker that wants to see some different design ideas, you could potentially just start with some of these templates here and maybe add some different logos, or maybe adjust some of the sizes of things, or how many lights are in the scene and whatnot, and then just basically show them a quick idea to get these sort of ideas flowing here. You know, maybe you want to adjust the size of some of the screens and sort of move things around a bit. You can kind of do stuff like that. And so just a quick way to kind of get started with some stuff here. Alright, so that's kind of how that works. You can adjust everything to change the images and stuff like that as well. And yeah, so you kind of, and they're all separated in different categories. So we have like fun, elegant, and yeah, different ideas there. So that's how that works. And after kind of looking through templates, and let's say you, okay, so the templates basically are a way of going through concepts and ideas and stuff. And a lot of times, like, templates in general are a good starting point, at least to get an idea across, but aren't always necessarily something that you're going to end up using in the end. So you end up, you know, adjusting it quite a lot. And so maybe, you know, in a lot of scenarios, you just want to build from scratch, or get the idea from the template and then say, okay, I want to change a lot with this, but I like the idea. So maybe you start from scratch from there. And so I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and clear this template. It basically just removes the template. And then I'm going to show you this build feature, which is kind of the best way, I would say, to start from scratch is using this. And the idea of it is to kind of go through each step of adding a room, a stage, a backdrop, screens, lighting, rigging, and seating, and sort of getting all those bases done really quickly, and then moving on to sort of finer details sort of things. So if you started with this build feature, you could probably get your whole sort of base setup done within, I don't know, less than 10 minutes. And then start to kind of really fine-tune things. So I'll show you this build feature and how you can do different things, and I'll kind of go through each step here. But then once we've got all that set up, then you can really go in and customize a lot of different things. So the difference between this and like other programs or traditional sort of 3D programs used to do other things, is that there's a lot of just individual elements that you'd be dragging out or putting in and kind of modifying them as you go. But what we're trying to do here is kind of bulk add things in and then be able to really quickly replace those things. And I'll do that while it's rendering in real time, so you're seeing exactly what you're getting to. So it's kind of a mixture of speed and then also seeing exactly what you get. And so it kind of maximizes that iteration process. So I'll start with the room setting here. So we have 2 or 3 different options for rooms. The first option is going to be to actually use a venue that we've already created. So we have a library of venues which you can look through here, and if you purchase one of those, which is just kind of a one-time fee so that we can continue to purchase or continue to make these rooms, you're able to then have that room in your library and you can just use it whenever you want. So let's say I wanted to use this room, I can just drag it out, and I have the kind of quick and easy ability to just change the lighting in it real quick like this. And then any objects that I start adding to it through this feature will just show up kind of in the front of the room here, and I can start building a set. You can also do things like go into the top view and move the room around. You can add air walls to it, so you can kind of customize the way that everything's laid out. There's definitely no restraint there. So that's the one way how to get rooms. So that's going to be kind of your very specific rooms if we have those rooms available. The next would be creating like a basic room. So if you don't know if you're not able to, or if we don't have the room that you need, if you're not able to get it soon enough, you could possibly just use this feature to create a basic room real quick. And basically what you're going to do is you're just going to set the dimensions, and then you're going to choose some different kind of customized options. So you have a couple of options for ceilings, which we're definitely wanting to add more to these. So you'll have a bunch of different options for ceiling looks. And then for floors and walls, you just get some simple options for different carpets or sort of reflective surfaces and floors. Walls, kind of the same thing, just some different options here, which you can kind of play around with. And then the option to upload a floor plan as well, so you can add an image, as we were talking before, make sure something like this will work. And for some reason, whenever I try this lately, it's not. I think it's because I'm going through this method or something. Might have to revisit this. Let me see. Change that. Oops. Yeah, I'll have to revisit that. All right, so what's next? All right, so basically with the build feature again, we're gonna go kind of down the line. So again, to try to get all this kind of done in less than 10 minutes or so, you just go through these things. You can skip around. The basic idea is that you're putting in your dimensions of different things, and it's actually auto-populating the type of object that needs to be set. So if I were to do a 24, unlock this group here, 24-foot wide stage, it's going to auto-populate 6x8 risers to get a 6, 12, 18, 24-foot wide stage. But if I were to do like a 40-foot wide stage, it's going to give me a bunch of 4-foot wide risers. So it kind of knows based off your dimensions what to add there. You can always change that if you want to kind of rescale them or add individual risers too. So maybe you want to set this at 1 foot or something different. And you can also adjust the shape pretty easily by just doing this, trying out some different shapes. Maybe we'll do a sort of half circular stage. I think this one's come out kind of far. Maybe something like that. Maybe even further. All right, and then from here, so again, just some quick options here is that you can super quickly just go through some pre-made materials here. So often, you're using materials that are sort of the same. So we got those kind of stock here, and then if you wanted to, you can go in and adjust the color of those as well to make them more more customized. And yeah, and then you can quickly add some stairs, move the stairs around, and different things like that as well. So I'm just gonna do these stairs for now. But yeah, so all right, so moving on, we're going to kind of the backdrop. So the idea here with all these steps is that you're adding these things. The backdrop is kind of just like you don't even have to use a backdrop, obviously, but if you wanted to kind of cover up the wall or whatever's behind it, you can quickly do that with these few simple options here. So we just have drape or like a cyc, and so maybe I'll just do a drape, and I know my room is 100 feet wide, and my room's 22 feet high, so maybe I do like 20 feet of drape here. I'll do this at like 90 feet. So we have a little space on the sides for people to walk behind. And then again, you just have some options really quick for getting some draped the way you want it to look. Let's do some like gray. And you can, it's going to, you know, look kind of flat for the moment while there's no lighting happening. So once you start adding more lighting to the show and to your set, that's when kind of everything starts coming together. But for now, it's fine to just kind of leave, you know, your room lighting and stuff up as it is. So we're just gonna leave it here. All right, and so for screens, rigging, scenery, all kind of the same stuff here. So, but I'll kind of explain really quickly how, especially the screens and different things, can save some time. So if you, let's say, wanted to add an LED screen, we have the standard sizes. So these are kind of just going to be quick options to give you standard sizes that you'd see in like fast fold screens. So something like this. You can also go to the object and adjust it on the fly whenever you need to. But you could also go in and make it something custom. So, you know, if you want to do a wider screen, or maybe, you know, since the trim kit doesn't match this exactly, maybe what you do is you add in a screen with a border. Let's do 45 by 15 or something, and then you could add some drape behind that. So if I were to move this back and then just add another line of drape there, I could kind of create a trim kit around that, right? And so yeah, so then you can do that to get really quick sizes of screens and different things like that. And you can also just put some placeholder content in. We have kind of some stock stuff here. Let's see. Do this one. And we'll do something like this. And anytime you want to, every time you select something, the context will change over here. So if I select an LED screen, I'm going to get the intensity of the screen slider, the light spill, gloss effectiveness on the screen, and then the pixel pitch as well on there. You can see how it changes there. And then the ability to add images and move around the content as well on the screen there. You can also adjust on the fly the size of the screen here. So yeah, so that's a couple things about changing screens. Rigging works just the same. So let's say I want to, you know, hang this screen right here. I'm just going to do, I think it's 40 feet, and I'm going to say, you know, it's 40 feet wide, and I want the height of it to be, I think it was like 20. I need to be a little lower, 15. And did I have it at 40? I thought I had it at 40. Oh, I made it 45. So if I go back to this and I do 45, what's cool is that it will, with the truss and a lot of these objects, it will automatically add in a truss piece that fits. So now you have 4 10-foot truss pieces and a 5-foot truss piece there. And so it kind of just automatically does that. If you were to do like 16 feet wide of truss, it would automatically throw in 2 16-foot pieces there. And what else was I gonna say? Let me just check on the old stream here and make sure everything's working okay. All right. Got some crazy music playing in the background. Trying out new music every time, basically. Let me know if it is too aggressive. Okay, so moving on. So we were just talking about the truss here. So if I kind of just set in my dimensions of the truss there, it'll automatically throw in the right amount of truss at the right sizes. So again, if I did 45 feet at 19 feet high, I'm just going to throw in 4 10-foot pieces and then a 5-foot piece on the end there. You could rearrange this and you could move it. I can go in here and just quickly adjust different truss sizes. So this is all super quick and time saving, easy to do. And then your layout, so let's say I wanted to, basically you just have 3 options here. So it's like, do you want your truss kind of downstage, upstage, or further back, kind of front of house? So maybe I want to do it sort of downstage truss line, add a different size. Maybe I want to do like 60 feet wide. So I'm just going to throw that in there. And then if you want to go in and add more truss to kind of connect, let's say up here, or maybe you have some cable runs that you need to connect, you could always go in and just kind of individually duplicate them and move them around. So there's no necessarily like super speedy feature for that, but it's definitely fairly simple to do. Not easier if I just group it. Okay. All right, so that's that. We'll go on to scenery here. So there's a lot of options for scenery. For scenery, this is one of the largest reasons that we built the program, honestly, is to be able to change scenery super fast and easily. In the past, it had been difficult to add in one type of scenery to your 3D software and immediately be able to change it without having to kind of replace every single scenery object or something. So let me go ahead and just move this back now. We'll say that maybe that's an alternative option or something. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to again set some dimensions. So we'll do again like 45 feet by 18 feet. So this automatically sets everything up correctly, so it knows that these are all 22.5 inch tiles, so we'll set them all up to be next to each other and fit the space that you told it to. And then from here, let's say you don't want it to be, a flat wall of objects. So you easily go in and just, remove pieces if you wanted to. And you can replace tiles super easily. So this is one of the super quick time-saving things here. So if I wanted to, let's say, replace, say I wanted to make columns or something, what I could do is, let's say, delete these. And you could easily, too, just make a column and then kind of duplicate it, move it over. So that's definitely an option. But let's say you wanted these tiles to be a different type of tile. You just go into the decor object, or decor section here, and then change the decor. So I'm just going to drag in a new one and see what it looks like. And again, why this is pretty cool and whatnot is once you start getting lighting and everything in there, you just kind of see immediate results. So if I were to throw in some lighting, I'm just going to cheat here and move on to lighting real quick. Let's add in some uplights. So for uplights, I'm going to do this, just have kind of a generic LED uplight fixture, which kind of can be used for a lot of different cases. But let's say 45 feet wide, or maybe I want to do the whole thing, so I'll do like 90 feet for now. Let's do 85. And then I can set the amount of how many I want in there. So let's do 10 for now. And maybe I want them to uplight, right under them, the columns. So I might adjust this to kind of see where it fits. So maybe this is a little better. Maybe it needs to be an odd number. you might in this case have to put them individually or move them a little bit to fit right under the columns, depending on just where you want them, I guess. But anyway, so what I was saying is that now you can kind of immediately see what it's going to look like given the lighting on it. So if I again wanted to go back here and select those objects and change the tile, I can immediately see what that's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and change the color of these to something different. There's that for now. Adjust the cone angle of this as well. Something like that. And then you could always move it back and forth a little bit too if you want it to be closer. The snapping settings is set by default to half a foot, so 6 inches. So everything kind of moves at 6 inches, and then you can adjust that if you need. So if you want to move it to wherever, you just set that to be 0. Alright, so I'm going to go back to this and change this tile again. And maybe, maybe also I want to do a different type of object, maybe something more fabric-like. There's one I'm looking for, I think it's called Laser. This one. So this one looks pretty cool with lighting on it. It's got kind of a glossy look to it and has some depth to it as well. Create 2 of them. Do something like this, and then do another one here. I'll just remove the rest of these. And yeah, I don't know, that's just it's a quick and dirty look, but again, so from here, the kind of option would be to go in and quickly adjust things just by replacing them. So, maybe your client's like, oh, I really like these, but I don't like these. And you just basically select them, and maybe your client's on the call, and you can go ahead and say, well, what about something that's a little more solid looking like this, or maybe you want to replace it all together and say about something that's just totally different. Let's see. This. I guess I tried a tile here. But yeah, so you can show them to at least different tile options very quickly, or you can just replace them all together, and say, do you want something that's more textured, fabric-y, maybe you want to create some layers, and so you do something like this with some objects above it or in front of it. So all these things are just able to be done really smoothly, very quickly, fast kind of iteration. And yeah, so that's kind of how the scenery works. There's also a lot of other categories here too that you can kind of play around with too. So if you wanted to do columns with sides on them, you can play with these. If you wanted to do kind of flat walls, like printed backdrops or anything like that, you can replace stuff with this. So basically it's going to replace some of the stuff that I put in here if I want to add a new one. So I either want to delete this stuff or, put it in front of it. So maybe I just real quick say, okay, like, do you want a backdrop? Let's do that. So maybe I want to save this look. What's kind of simple for me to do is just to go in and move this stuff back. So instead of like hiding and unhiding everything, basically just move it back for the time being and say, all right, that's kind of like an idea there. Now I want to try a different idea. So I'll throw in a backdrop and maybe we'll hang it from here or something. And you can also, you know, maybe you don't want to see the truss as well. You could cover that up with some drape. Plenty of things like that you can do. But yeah, and then you can easily just say, okay, well, here's a couple of your logos. You know, do you want to see your logo on the image here? Do you want to adjust the logo at all? So you can quickly kind of iterate through that stuff as well. Adjust lighting really quickly. I live in Colorado, and a lot of people like to see the mountains if they're visiting, so sometimes that's a pretty popular sort of look for events. Now let's say you want a different color on your backdrop. If you're uplighting it, you could just select those and maybe do white or something. All right, so we'll just say something like that. If they wanted to add a quick sign or something to their scene, they could easily as well just add a logo. You could add a logo like a PNG logo. Here's a PNG. And then just kind of adjust it as you need to. Now this makes me want to change the graphic of the backdrop. Let's see. It's a little better, I guess. So this would be like a hanging sign. All right, we'll just move on, even though these colors don't really work. See if there's anything else that I could use real quick. This one. Adjusting this. I've slowed down a bit just because I've lost my steam in speaking, and now I'm getting into the details, but I hate it when something doesn't look good. Adjust the details of that, and then just the lighting here real quick, and I'll just move on to showing you more stuff. Change the color. Save, and we'll move on to the next categories here. So we'll kind of show real quick again. If you just this is all to kind of populate the backdrop with scenery. So if you knew again that you wanted a bunch of the same type of objects, so I'm going to move this back again to kind of play with something else for the moment. Let's say I wanted to just try real quick, you know, some drape hanging and stuff. So maybe I wanted to do something like this. All see what that looks like. And we want to adjust the size of it, or try something else like a full wall of this. These are just really quick ways to get a look of something. Like this. So maybe you do that and you place it there, and maybe put some of these pieces in front of it.
Don't stop.
And then maybe you change the color on some of these. I think the back one is like a gray or something. So again, I'm just really quickly just kind of iterating through stuff here to see what we can get. I'm going to move this truss back and say that we want to not see the truss, so maybe we would cover it up with some drape or something. Yeah, so anyways, again, I'm getting too into the details of that, but you can see how you can just kind of really quickly set that up and play with it. So some other options here, again, for scenery is to create a quick foliage wall. So I'm going to replace, let me actually just place this, and I'll remove those, and then I'll do a, well, let's do like a 60-foot wall of foliage. So this can be kind of fun to play with as well. I typically, when I do stuff like this, is I'll stack a bunch of plants on top of each other, so you get a mixture of them, and then you can go in and kind of change colors of things. You could also just make like columns of foliage. So if you wanted to do like a 3-foot column, something like this, and then kind of duplicate it and make different columns throughout, you could do some custom stuff like that. But I'll just show you real quick about this. So let's say we did like a 60-foot wall. I would just place these and then add some more on top. And now once you go in here, you can kind of select the individual plant, as you can see here. I'll just move it back, and then I can adjust the color of it. Maybe I want it to be like a, you know, bright orange or something, maybe to fit my branding here as well. At this point, I would probably use a logo that was more like this. Cool, so that's that, and then we have, so again, some stock content that you could add to screens or other objects from scenery. And then we'll move on to lighting here real quick. So a sort of fast way to get lighting up and loaded is to use these options here. So it always took me a few minutes to kind of get my stage wash going, and then uplight set and all that sort of thing by individually dragging them out. So instead, what you can do is just set basically how wide and high you want the objects. So I'm going to place this to make sure that these lights stay where they are. And then I'm going to create a stage wash by doing, let's do 40 feet, because I think the stage is about 40 feet. And then we'll do it like 18 feet high. We'll add this ellipsoidal light fixture. Move it down to like 17 feet. And we don't need 15, so maybe like 8 lights or something. We can go to the colors here and adjust that to cool blue. And then you could, since we have this kind of curved stage here, that you know they're set up to, the lights are set up to just kind of face this way. You could individually go in and, or I mean, you could go into the group and adjust the rotation of all of them all together. Another cool and kind of fast way to do individual lights and focusing them is to select on a light and then click this aim button and then just aim it to where you want to aim it to. So I might aim this one over here, and same thing with this. And I'll say this is like the general area I want to get it to. And then some of these lights I might want to move them kind of like this. And from there I could group them, or I could group them again and adjust the whole thing and kind of see where all my lights are pointing. Maybe I reduce the cone so I can see exactly where each cone is, or light is hitting, and then go back in and adjust a little more to kind of make sure I'm hitting everything. So this is a fine-tuning thing, but it's pretty quick to do. Doesn't really work like if you were to want to select all of these lights and just have them focus on one area. That's typically not the use case for a stage wash, because in a stage wash you're trying to light the whole stage, and so if you were to have all of the lights point to one spot, that would obviously leave a lot of the stage unlit. So sometimes you have to kind of move all the lights around, but if it's a flat stage, rectangular, it's much quicker to just kind of light that. All right, so we'll leave it there for now. Like this light is a little bit low. Or maybe it's the other light. Okay, something like that. All right, and then we'll go on to look at adding some kind of more miscellaneous lights real quick. So if I place those lights where I want them, maybe I want to add some backlighting here. So I'm just going to click this this light here, which kind of automatically populates to the rear to downlight and be used as backlighting. You can also use these lights anywhere if you wanted to, or you could add them in through just dragging them around here. But in general, we just have them kind of fast placed right here. So maybe I actually want, let's say, these to be yeah, maybe that much is that much is probably good. And then I might move them back a little so they're not hovering. If we wanted to hang these off truss or something, we can move this back here. And kind of play with that as we needed to. All right, so that's that. What I might do too real quick is just select all of these plants here. Move this out of the way real quick. Move these plants up just a bit so they're kind of hiding some of the top area there. All right, so we'll just do that for now. And next, next I might really quickly just add in some moving lights to really quickly show you that. And at this point too, since we got some lighting in, we can adjust the room lighting a little bit here to kind of give some focus on our backdrop and scenery and everything. If you wanted to individually light the sign here as well, you could do a couple things. You could try to, let's say, grab a couple of these uplights and kind of move them back and see if they can light the sign there. It's not too bad. It's definitely lit better. So something like that you can try. Actually, like these a little bit more, so that they're not, so that they're, yeah, I think that's a little better. This, you know, the stage right now is pretty bright because it's white and it's being lit, so it's like taking a lot of the focus here. It's also kind of nice sometimes to just throw in a person to see how things are looking. So maybe throw this person in here just to kind of get an idea of scale and stuff. Actually, maybe I move this stage up a tiny bit there. Cool. All right, we'll go on to adding in some quick seating now. So seating, I want to go ahead and throw in, you can basically just try out different things, but you know, obviously if you need to fit a specific type of table or chair in the room, you can just go straight to that object. So we have theater, classroom, and banquet seating. And there's a few different adjustments you can make to each. So for theater seating, you can select them and change the color of them. It's kind of a subtle change, but you can adjust them and it kind of changes the whole chair. And then there's just two different chair options here. For classroom seating, you have a number of options here. So you can set the table size to something smaller, 5, 6, and 8 feet. You can change the amount of chairs that are each table. And then you can also adjust the color of the table setting there. And if you wanted to basically set the amount of tables and where they are and everything, you just use these here. So if I wanted to go wider, maybe like 90, and we'll leave it at 50. And I'll say there's 8 feet of separation in between each table because they're 8-foot tables, so they're connected. And then maybe 8 feet in between each row. And you can see from the top view what that looks like. And then if you wanted to create some aisles, you can just use the marquee tool here and drag in and create some aisles there. So let's do an aisle there. And an aisle there. And then I'm going to select them again and change that color. And you could also add some basic table settings too, so just some kind of water bottles and stuff. You know, notice right now I can see there is a bug with that though, because if I've deleted some tables here, it shows these. I think if I Control S and save my project, it will remove those because they're kind of saved in the background. All right, so we got this look here, and again, if it's kind of similar, if you went to banquet seating, you have the same kind of options. You can change the color. You have a bunch of table settings that you can change from as well. So you can change the decor on the tables of the banquet tables. And then for layouts, for basically I have different layout options for banquet tables and theater seating. So for banquet tables, you can do all aligned seating or staggered seating. And for theater style seating, if you have chairs, just chairs, you can do a circular sort of in the round seating pattern, which makes it much quicker to create that sort of setup rather than having to try to individually do those. All right, and so that's seating. And so kind of now at this point, I've gone over how templates and then building from scratch can work. At this point, you've got your basic setup done, and at this point, you might want to be going in and like adjusting individual things. Turn this off for now. And so at this point, you might want to be going in to add individual things, like let's say you want to, add a custom podium or something, or maybe you want to add some individual plants. Why that is there. Or maybe some chairs. So say I wanted to add some chairs in here. What I can do is I could either add these chairs in individually. Sometimes what I like to do is just throw in this template here with the people, where there's just some people sitting. Or you go to tables. Maybe you have like a little, what would you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Basically some people sitting up at the front, like a panel, I guess. Panel, but with just a basic kind of setup like this. Maybe you have something like this. You can always group these together so you don't have to select them individually, and change the color of these. And I would adjust the lighting a little bit here. Cool, so you got that. Maybe you've added in some stuff like that. Maybe you want to throw in some audio real quick. What you could do is kind of just drag a speaker, let's say up here, and maybe I just want a smaller array of speakers. I might just scale it down real quick like that. And you have some other options as well to just kind of add some things in here. Lighting, you could add individual lighting things. You could add lighting trees that will just kind of show up in the back here, and then maybe you either want to turn the whole thing individually, or you could go in and unlock the group and select the light here and then aim it on your subject there. Delete that for now. And let's say again for scenery, you're just trying to get some ideas. So you maybe come back to here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to group the plants there. Maybe I did already group them. Did I already group them? Oh, I might be selecting the wrong thing. Ungroup items. Just move them all back, I guess. So I'm gonna move them back, and then and I'll say again, I want, like, these are my few different scenery options here. So I can kind of play with these and move things around. You know, maybe I want to add a different type of scenery in here. So the cool thing about this too is that all the materials are already kind of ready to go and look as accurate as possible based off of what we've built, and trying to keep them realistic. So you can quickly get a good idea of what it's going to look like. And yeah, basically keep going in and playing with things. Maybe I want to try this one. Just basically drag it in and put it where I want it. Actually, let me do them both at the same time. So yeah, so there you are. You can see how you could quickly do this, you know, on your own time, and then quickly basically render out a finished 4K rendering and send it over to your client. What's nice too about the renders is that you could create a rendering and it'll give you a link to the rendering, so you can automatically just send your client the link to that so they can check it, rather than, you know, uploading an image and sending it to them and all that. Or a nice thing that you can do is just on a meeting, you can kind of go through all these different objects quickly with them, maybe a 30-minute meeting, and you can kind of show them these different options you could do. And then another option too is creating an actual movie out of it. So if you were pretty happy with what you had and you wanted to show them a nice looking fly-through rendering instead of movie, what you do is you go to this first-person camera view here, and you're going to create just some quick, let me move these real quick. I'll say that they're connected here somehow, but I'm not going to get into the details of that. So you'd go into this first-person camera view and just set some quick camera views. So maybe you want a view of right here. I'm just going to hit this plus sign. And also what you can do with your final renderings is turn on this focus setting here. And this will allow you to get to kind of focus in on your subject, and it'll create some depth of field for the camera, so that's always kind of nice. So maybe I'll create one more there, and then a final one over here, maybe a close-up. Okay. And yeah, from there you would just hit this A button and it will animate through these 3 camera views. And then at that point, so basically what's going to happen is you could do a screen record. We don't have a perfect way of exporting a movie yet because it's such a large file, and getting that to download from your browser as well. So we will have that in the future, but easy enough if you have a screen recorder like OBS. You can just do a quick screen record, or even Loom, which I use a lot. Is a nice way to do that. And yeah, and there you have it. You can send that over to your client. So that kind of covers everything. The last A few things that you can do at the end of your rendering is you can try playing with some haze. So if you had some moving lights in your scene, just throw in maybe do it on stage here, turn this around, go to this top view and just do 2 of these real quick. I'll just group these guys. So if you had like 2 moving lights here and you wanted to maybe see a little bit of haze with them, say if I add or change the gobo, it will rotate them, and then I can change the rotation here. But yeah, from here I can go in and add this haze button, turn the haze up or down, or the brightness of the light will also adjust the haze, so you can play with that. Maybe you want to change the color as well. Cool, and there you have it. So you can play with that. Turn it off and on easily. This contrast button will adjust, sort of subtle adjustment, which shows kind of outlines to things and creates a bit of contrast between objects. So with it on, it's a little bit easier to, let's say, decipher between where the screen is and where the ceiling is. You can see it creates a bit more contrast there. So that can be helpful because these spaces are typically dark in events. It can be nice to have that to just show objects a little better. You also have the ability to change color here if you wanted to show a different look for your floor plan, or even for your renderings to just kind of outline everything. You could use this view, so this kind of outlines everything in white. And then you have another view here which will outline everything in black and white as well. Which can be helpful mostly in the sort of other camera views. Yeah. So that is that for that. And then you can also make really quick top-down views and create measurements and things like that. All right, so that about does it for all of the different kind of fast time-saving features. So kind of recap real quick. To create this, obviously I spent some more time to kind of explain each specific thing that I was doing. But the basic idea, at least with the build feature, is that you create your whole base setting by adding a room with the simple dimensions here, or using a pre-built room, which we have, or we can build and add into the program. And then basically from there, you just go on adding your dimensions of your stage, adding different details to those stages really quickly, like materials and things. Adding quick backdrops just by adding in the dimensions and changing materials. Adding screens that are all kind of preset to be quick. Rigging, scenery, there's just a ton of options here that you can really save time by adding these in, again setting the dimensions, adding like a wall in, and then going in and changing tiles and removing things. And once you get kind of familiar with how that works, that can save a ton of time if you're using scenery a lot, or the same type of scenery, I guess. One thing I didn't go over is custom scenery. So you can add in custom scenery right now, mostly just flat 2D things. So the way you would do that is by adding in a PNG image of something custom. So maybe it was some kind of custom object like this. You can add that in and manipulate it however you want by kind of scaling it around and adding images to it and different things like that, or even projection mapping on it. as well. And so that's a way to add custom things. And then going from there, lighting, again, just adding kind of quick rows of lighting just by entering in the width and height that you want, and then quickly moving them and adjusting them like that. And then seating, same thing, just quickly deciding what type of seating you want, adding in the area that you want them to sit, and then being able to quickly change whether they have layouts or different layouts or decor on the tables and things. So that's how that all kind of works together. And then again, going over the templates we went over before, these are kind of just, they're meant to be used for really anything, but I would say they mostly are to help with starting out with some different ideas, and potentially you can use them to actually change them by, adjusting all the settings within them, changing colors, adding images and different things to their content. But what you could do as well is just look at them and kind of get an idea from them, and then start from scratch maybe and do something similar, or adjust them completely. And then finally, just going over details. Once you kind of have your base layers set, you kind of go in and add miscellaneous things like chairs and seating on your stage, maybe plants, people, maybe adding in some extra individual lighting, some audio, maybe some different types of, I was going to say screens as well. Yeah, and so there's also some random objects here too that you can play with. There's some more miscellaneous things where, like flip charts and different things that you might have in a smaller room setup, maybe like a breakout too, so you can play with all that stuff. And yeah, I'll leave you with one more thing, which is that let's say that this was like a white object. So let's say it was just this, and instead of printing on there, I wanted to like project something on there. So there's a really quick way to do that now, which is just with this projector light, or projector that has a light. So one of these projectors is just a prop, and then the other one has a light. And so if I move it up here to, let's say, this truss, and I move it down, what I can do is I can angle it a bit, and let's change the size. So I have all the settings over here. I can change the intensity, the size, the width and height, and the keystone as well. This is like a wide look here. So let's say I wanted to do, like, I don't know what this is, like 40 by 15, 10. I don't know. We'll just leave it there for the moment. You can always adjust it by doing that. And then I'm basically just going to add a, oops, I meant to set this to 0. I'm going to add the logo back and see if we can get the look that way. So what I would want to do is go back here and add this guy. So now we got this bright logo here, and maybe I want to turn these down because this is being projected on. So I'm going to keystone it a bit. And this isn't perfect because the logo is ending like right at the edge there, I think. Yeah. But yeah, you can kind of play with this, and then now it definitely looks more like a projected image. What I would probably do to make this look better is do a white logo with a black background, which would make the logo pop, or, you know, do like a PNG. I don't know if this will work or not. Let me try PNG. Yeah, PNGs don't show up well on the project and light because it's a So you need like a black background. Well, you don't need it, but it would look better if you had like a black background, because that's how kind of projection typically works. You can see it looks better here. Trying to see if I have anything else that would work with that. And yeah, so you can play with that. I think, yeah, if I get it out from under the lighting, it looks better. And then you can also map to it. Let me make sure it can map to this object. So if I do that, it should, yeah. So now it just maps specifically to this object, which is pretty nice, because then I don't have to really mess too much with the size of everything. It's only going to hit that object. So that's pretty nice. And there we go. It's a little bit skewed because it's the weird format. So if I were to do this, and then change the size of this. That's a bit cooler. There's always a light spill when you're doing some kind of projection mapping and stuff, so be on the lookout for that. Looks like there's just a lot of light hitting it from underneath too. All right, we'll stop there. That's about all I got. Although I kind of want to make this look different. It just doesn't match anything. It's like kind of weird. I think it'd be cooler if it was like cut out or shaped differently or something. That's all kind of based off the content you're using and whatnot, right? So, all right, we'll just leave it there. Good enough. All right, well, hopefully this helped, and have a good Friday. And we'll see you next time. I just realized my camera's probably been off for a while because it automatically turns off. Forgive me for that. Yeah, all right, we'll see you next time. Thanks.